Hey everybody, how is everyone doing today on this lovely, beautiful, wonderful Monday? I hope everyone is doing well. I wanted to share a little bit about what's been going on with me and what's just been going on in my life, and hoping that with me sharing what's been going on lately for a little while now, me sharing that can possibly help, someone else that might be going through the same thing. So forgive me, I do have on my shades. Normally I don't have on shades when I'm doing a video, but it is very sunny outside. I'm outside in my car, just got off work, and had to go into the office today, but wanted to kind of do this video before I head home, because once I head home, it's done. I'm not doing any videos, but I wanted to come on here and talk about this season that I am in, or I don't want to call it a season. It's not actually a season, but it is like it's not a season, it's a phase. Maybe it's a phase. Maybe it's a precursor to something else. I don't know. What I do know is that it's very noticeable in my life. It's very different than what I've experienced over the past, let's say, 5 years prior to this past year. So what I've been experiencing I've been experiencing it over the past year. So the past 12 months to be exact. Okay. And it's been me coming in contact with counterfeit after counterfeit after counterfeit. Now, what do I mean by counterfeit? I mean like a poor replica of the real thing in terms of marriage, relationships, or whatever, right? I'm gonna say marriage because I know that God is preparing me and has been preparing me to be a wife. Not just get married, but to literally be someone's wife. Okay. So I know that. And I've been knowing that, a lot of what I've gone through over the past 6 years can be, we can say that was preparation, but not exactly, in the sense that over the past 6 years, most of what I had been going through was as a result of being born again and being a disciple of Christ, and leaving the world and coming into the kingdom and living according to God's ways in this world, right? God's plans and purposes in this world. So the past 5 years before this past year, really, I can't say it had much to do with marriage, but it had more to do with my relationship with God, building that relationship, and establishing it, building upon it, and sustaining it, and maturing in my relationship with God, maturing in my walk with God, right, as a Christian. And so that's actually what that part of my life was about, and that to me is more important than me preparing to be a wife. Okay, but has me preparing to be a wife or becoming a wife been in the back of my mind all of that time? It has. Not because it was a desire of mine. Actually, when I came to Christ, I did not want a relationship with anybody. I didn't want marriage. Forget about marriage. I didn't want even a relationship with anybody. So that wasn't on my agenda, but I think that it was God who put that desire in my heart. And so it's just there. It is there. It's not leaving. But at some point I started to realize that, okay, now this is I've gotten a lot of this deep work out of the way, this work in regards to my character, this work in regards to the way that I live my life, how I treat people, and just how I live in general. And I've gotten a lot of this work done in regards to spending time with God and putting him first in my life, putting him in his rightful place in my life, right? Whereas initially I was in that seat now understanding what it looks like to live a life where God is in the driver's seat, right? And I'm in the passenger seat, or maybe in the back seat, I don't know, but I'm not in the driver's seat. Okay. So going through all of that, learning about all of that, was necessary first. And then I started to realize there was this switch over to, preparation for marriage. It started to get intertwined, but that initial work of my soul is necessary for any area of your life, no matter where it is that God is taking you. Not just marriage, anywhere, whether it's whatever it is. When you come to Christ, you need that character development. That you need to be matured in Christ. You need to become a mature Christian. You need to learn how to eat and all these things, right? And so when I say learn how to eat, I mean feed on the word, right? So on the Bible. So anyways, at the end of the day, let me get back to, because I'm going to start teaching about something else. Point of this video is this time of these counterfeits trying to come into my life, okay? And it is ridiculous, all right? And I don't understand. Well, I'll give you some things that I have understood. So over the past 12 months, I know that God told me that I got an understanding that it was time to prepare. And that meant really prepare. And what did that preparation consist of? If you want to know more about that, you can look at the marriage series. I think it's about 12 or 13 episodes of a podcast that I did. And I pretty much talked about all the stuff that God had been showing me. I put it in podcast form for everybody else to listen to. So if you're interested in that and you want to know, what he was teaching me and how he was preparing me, you can go and listen to those videos. But essentially what was happening is he was helping me understand what marriage looks like. Now, I am also understanding that you can get all the actual information that you can get, but it's nothing like actually being in that situation and being married or being a spouse, right? But at the end of the day, he was preparing me and helping me to get the right perspective about marriage, what it looks like and what it's really about and what it's not about, right? And he was helping me to understand what my role is as a helpmeet, as a helper to my husband, and what his role is. But most importantly, he was helping me to understand my role. He was giving me clarity on my role, the way that he designed me for marriage, right? And so it wasn't entirely about, most of it wasn't about what his role was. It was really instruction and understanding about what my role was. However, within that, I was getting an understanding of what to look for. So it started out with me getting an understanding about marriage, getting an understanding about what it looks like, getting an understanding about what a virtuous woman actually is, getting an understanding about how God made, how he created the man and the woman to be opposite, and that those opposites are supposed to complement one another, not be in opposition to one another, but they're actually supposed to be a complement. The opposites, he is opposite of me, I am opposite of him, but that's not to create opposition and strain and tension, but it's actually meant for us to be able to work together better and more efficiently. So he helped me understand that. And a lot of other things, right? And then it went into, okay, well, what does a godly man look like? Or what does a man who is living according to the ways of God, what does he look like? Also, it was, well, let me ask you, this is like the Lord asking me, what do you want? Can you identify what it is that you want in a spouse, in a husband? Can you identify what you need? And when you write down on paper what it is that you want, what you desire, and what you need, you can get clarity as to whether or not what you want is superficial or not. So I was putting in there, I got an understanding of what I'm looking for and who God is bringing to me and what that man will look like, not physically, but in terms of his characteristics and things like that. But also I got a chance to understand what was in my heart, when I was writing out kind of what I'm looking for. And so that was a good exercise that I got a chance to experience and to go through. Okay. But a couple of months after the Lord and I kind of started this podcast, and I started talking about these things, I would say around August or September of last year is when the first counterfeit showed up. And actually, I remember at that time there were three guys. There were three guys that were trying to get close to me. Three of them. One of them did not get the time or the day because I had understood prior to. I didn't need to talk to him in that way to understand that he was not the man for me. And I think a lot of what I was going through at that time, and throughout that period, also showed a lot about what was going on in my heart as well. You could want to be married and want to have companionship and want those things, and sometimes you can go through a period where you feel lonely, right? You feel like, man, I don't have anybody to share my life with, or share these situations with, or to lean on. I don't have anyone that I'm supporting, that I can support, that I can help, that I can work with, that I can build with. I don't have those things. And so then when these counterfeit people come along, if you're not careful, you'll find yourself allowing certain things and attaching to these people and allowing them to attach to you just for the sake of being married. But one thing that I could not get out of my mind was, do you want to be a wife, or is this just about getting married? What is this really about, right? At some point I was starting to kind of understand, you have to ask yourself, is this just about getting married, getting a ring and having a wedding, and doing all those things? Or is this actually about being a wife, being of service to someone, submitting your life to someone, sacrificing for someone, helping someone, loving someone, supporting someone, building with someone? Is it just about marriage, or is it bigger than that? And do you understand God's purpose for it, right? So anyways, so three guys, and one of them was never going to ever get the time of day. Even though I tried to be nice to him, but it got out of hand. And I was like, you know what? I love people, but I have to be cold towards this person for him to understand that there is no chance in hell that I would date him or be with him. So I have to literally walk past him and not speak. I have to, you don't want to be this way. But I knew that if I did not behave in that manner, that he would take any sort of smile or wave or anything, and he would take it out of context and think that there was a chance that he could have me. And he was almost, he had this, I felt this feeling of possession, like he wanted to possess me, in a sense of grabbing a hold of me and squeezing really tightly and never letting go. that kind of thing. And for a moment I almost wondered, like, okay, this isn't, but seriously, I wondered, like, where did you come from acting like this? Anyway, so that was one guy, but never gave him the time of day, or not anything, right? And it took him a couple of months to really get the picture that she does not want anything to do with me. There was another guy, and I think I talked about this in another video. It wasn't in the marriage series, but rejection is protection, or something like that. But anyways, the ways that God was protecting me from these poor relationships that I could have found myself in, especially if I didn't have a tight grip on my heart, right? And so this other guy, he was coming around and trying to establish something with me, but I guess I don't know what happened, right? I don't know if I made him feel rejected, or if I didn't do something that he wanted me to do, or give him the attention that he wanted right off the bat. So the very next day, he brings this girl to the gym, and she's his girlfriend. And so that kind of got that out of the way. Like, okay, I got this. He has a girlfriend. What does he want? And so then there was a third guy, and the third guy, I let him come to my house, and he came to my house, and I let him assess my bathroom, because I needed to get my bathroom remodeled. And I let him assess my bathroom, but I knew he liked me. And I remember him being there. We were outside. By this time, he had given me the assessment, and he was just lingering, just lingering around. And I remember feeling sick to my stomach, like I could have thrown up. I remember just being sick, okay, and trying to hold in from gagging as I was standing there talking to him. And the last time I remembered feeling like that, I went on a date. This was maybe 9 years ago, okay? But it was my last relationship. My last relationship had lasted about 2.5 years. And I remember when I went on the first date with this guy, I came home and I was sick to my stomach, okay? Like literally sick to my stomach. And my mom was over that day, and I remember telling her, if my phone rings, don't answer it. Like I'm just sick. I've been on this date with this person for hours, and I'm sick to my stomach, and I just don't want to talk to him or anything like that, right? I didn't know why I felt that way, but I did feel that way. But after 2.5 years, or actually within 6 months, I started to get an understanding of why I was feeling that way. And then next thing you know, you're in it for 2.5 years, and I'm thinking, I gotta leave this. This is, everything about this is rotten. It's like nasty trash. It's not good for me. And it came out of my brokenness. The relationship was developed out of my brokenness anyways, right? So that was the last time that I felt like that. So when this guy came to my house and I was standing outside and I felt that way, immediately I flashed back to that previous relationship, my last relationship. And I thought, something is rotten about this person's, and I am not trying to talk about anybody. I have had my own issues, so I'm not trying to talk about anybody or anything like that. I'm just telling you the truth, and that is just it. And there's nothing else that I can say about it. It's just the truth, right? And so I thought, something's rotten about this person's life, or something about this is rotten, and I cannot put my finger on it because I don't know him, but I know that I am sick to my stomach, right? And I was just grossed out. And the guy continued to linger, not just after that day, but I mean every day he continued to linger, to come around me and to kind of just linger, And at one point I felt like, okay, I feel like he's choosing me, like he's choosing to come around me. He wants to be around me. Well, let me just see if this is something that God wants me to do. If this is someone that God wants me to open up to, right? And so I remember going forward and trying to see, giving it a chance to see, and to see if this was from God. And this guy, like I said, he lingered, and I just didn't know. But I remember laying down that one night and telling the Lord, I do not want this man. Like, I am not attracted to him. I am sick to my stomach. I feel like if this is who you have for me, you are giving me the short end of the stick. Like, in every sense of the term or the phrase, you're giving me the short end of the stick. So, Lord, I do not want this man. I said, you know what? If this is who you have for me, take him back. Send somebody else. This is a conversation that I had. And so every day he lingered, and we talked, and I started to develop a like towards him, like a friend. And I thought, maybe something could be there, maybe, but he's not quite what I believe God was telling me he had for me. He's not quite that person or that man. actually he's not that at all. I got the sense of like a knockoff, right? That was the only thing that I could think of was a knockoff. And so I begged and pleaded with God, and I was kind of angry. I said, I don't want this. This is not who I want. But then, that feeling of, can you love somebody that you don't like? Can you love somebody that, you start to reason with yourself in all these different ways, and you start to kind of think, well, maybe, if I just open up my heart. And that is probably the worst thing to do right away, is to say, well, let me open up my heart, right? But I thought, let me just see, let me see, maybe there's something in his heart that is, maybe this is the guy. I know God told me to prepare, and I know he said that it was going to happen. And so maybe this is the person. And, so a couple of months go by, and I'm never settled. I couldn't relax in it. I couldn't get comfortable in it. I couldn't just accept it. I just couldn't do it. And something about it just I wasn't able to just keep it or to deal with it, right? I wasn't able to stick with him. I just wasn't satisfied with him being the one for me. So, I remember going, see you later. I remember going to my bed, going to my room that night for bed. And I laid there and I said, Lord, I said, this is not who I want. If this is who you have for me, I'll accept it. I'll work with it if this is what you have for me. I said, but if he's not the one for me, Father, you can let him go. If I need to walk away, I can walk away. If you want me to walk away from this, I will walk away right now. That was what I said. So the next day, he comes to me and he says, I'm in a relationship. Like out of the blue, he tells me, he's seeing someone. Sorry, he didn't say relationship, but he said he was seeing someone, and he had been seeing the person for a couple of months, and he's really sorry, and I'm a great girl and all this. And I'm sitting here thinking, I do not need you to tell me how great I am. I'm not insecure. I'm not insecure. I don't need validation from anybody to tell me how great I am or any of that. I'm just trying to figure out, how is it that you're seeing somebody and you're seeing me, and how you just kept that to yourself for a couple of months. I'm just trying to figure that part out. Because that would be some information you want to know from the very beginning. And so anyways, we fell out, and it was okay. You know what? I gotta walk away. I gotta move on from here. And then after that, he still kind of lingered, and I felt like I had some sort of feelings for him, right? And but at the same time, I thought, but I didn't want this man in the first place. So like, how did I even get here? And then he kind of lingered, and it was like, but you seeing somebody, so why are you lingering around? And like, what else do you want? And I started to get an understanding that he was a distraction, that he was only there. He didn't know that. Okay. He didn't know that. He did not know what was, I don't think he had any concept of what was leading him to be that way, or to linger, or to try to distract me. I don't think he understood that. But I also don't think that he was being led by God. So we can be led by influences of different things, either God or dark forces, right? Or something like that. We can be influenced by God, by good, and we can be influenced by evil, or things that are not good. And I think that, I don't think he knew that, but based on the way I see it, I think he was being led. I know he wasn't being led by God, because if he were being led by God, not only would he have told me from the beginning, but he would have just walked away. I mean, if you were led by God, it wouldn't have been a thing. But at the end of the day, it was a red flag, and it came up. So that was 3 guys. And then, about, so that ended in February, right, of this year. And then by March, another one came around. This one, I had not even realized it, okay? But I knew him from 10 years prior to that day. He liked me in 2011, and we had gone on one date, okay? And I did not like this guy then, but on this particular time when I met him, he seemed, all grown up and just mature, like a man, right? And kind of like what I would want, I was like, okay, he's put together, he's handsome, he goes to church, now, and again, just because he goes to church does not mean that he is saved, nor does it mean that he has a relationship and knows God. But that is something that you have to find out, right? So for me, it was, okay, I know he goes to church. I know he is, mind you, okay, that's another conversation, but not that him going to church faithfully was a requirement for me, but it was more so he's trying to develop his relationship with God. That was more so kind of like the thought, like, okay, I've seen him in church before. It had to have been about a year and a half prior to that day. I had seen him in church, so I know he must be trying to work on his relationship with God. So anyways, we see each other in the gym, and we connect or whatever, and we chat via LinkedIn, and then eventually he calls me, and we talk whatever, and I talk to him on the phone. I find out he's been engaged twice, and he wants to be a husband and all these things. And I'm thinking, man, this guy, he could be it, if I'm thinking about everything. But then he says something to me. It's like little things, okay, y'all. So then he says something to me on the phone. He's like, I drive a BMW now, and I'm trying to buy a house, and he's saying these things, and there's nothing wrong with having a BMW or trying to buy a house or any of that. There's nothing wrong with that. But it was the way he said it, as if he was dangling a carrot before me. Like he was trying to dangle something in front of me to entice me, right? But he doesn't know me. If he knew me, he wouldn't have even said anything about a BMW or anything. He wouldn't have gone that route. So that was like a little thing that I realized, okay, now I know men are they want you to know that they can take care of you. I know that is a trait of men, that they want you to know that they can take care of you, and that they can provide, and they'll try to impress you. I do understand those things. But I know that sometimes people will try to impress you the wrong way. Their intentions may be good, but they may be so I didn't take him off the list right away, but I took a mental note of the way that he was trying to almost entice me, right? So just took a mental note and kind of left it at that. So ended up talking to him, and I talked to him again, and I remember in the conversation certain things that he said, but the conversation went really well. We talked for about an hour, and I thought, it could be, but it can't be, because he's in a relationship actually. So he's been engaged twice, and he's in a relationship with his youngest child's mother. And I'm thinking, okay, I thought he was following God, but I don't know, I don't know, right? So then I find out he's living with this, they're shacking up, right? And so I'm like, first of all, this is just not my guy, okay? He's shacking up with somebody. It's not my guy. But could God end something and give it time and let something else happen? He could, but in my mind, I'm thinking, but God did not do all this work in me for me to have to sit here and wait on a man that's living with another woman. I don't think this is my guy. This is just not my guy, right? Then on another note, I thought, but he's living with another woman he's not married to, and that doesn't seem like something God would want his children to be doing. He wants us to do things his way, not our way. So, you will know them by their fruit, right? And so his fruit was starting to speak louder than anything else. And so, about a month or so goes by, 2 months go by, and I'm not talking to him at all like that, right? But every once in a while, he sends me a message. And then he calls me, and so we're talking on the phone. But before he calls me, I get this dream about this guy. And in the dream, he was a thug. Okay? In the dream, this guy was a thug. He was literally a thug, okay? He had a teardrop. He had a teardrop on his eye. He was selling drugs. He was packing. He had guns, okay? And he was living a grimy life like a drug dealing gangbanger, okay? And I remember in the dream seeing him like that, and then seeing a picture of him on the wall in a suit with a clean cut and everything. And I remember looking at him and thinking, how did that man get like this? How did the man in that, how is this guy the same man that's in that picture, right? That's what I was thinking. And it just didn't make sense to me. And so I woke up from the dream, tucked it away, mental note. I don't know what that dream was about, but in this dream, he was two different people. In the picture, he was clean cut and he appeared to be this really good, well put together guy. But in reality, he was a thug. He was a heathen. He was drunk, on drugs, with a teardrop under his eye. I don't know if anybody remembers what that means, but I remember that a teardrop meant that was a murder that person had under their belt, that they had killed someone before. I don't know if that still means that, but that's what I thought that meant, right? And he was just a thug. So when I talked to him on the phone, probably about a month or so after that dream, so now we're going into maybe May, June or so. I talked to him, probably May. Talked to him, and I'm on the phone with him, and I could throw up. I was sick to my stomach because it was like the dream. So I found out that not only was he like a drinker, he got high, and I even think he might be a drug dealer. I'm not joking. Like, I think he might even sell drugs. Now, I cannot prove that, but what he was saying to me on the phone and the way he was talking and the words he was using and everything was like, no. I mean, I was repelled. I was like, look, I haven't dealt with a guy like that since I was a young 20-something-year-old woman. And that was toxic. I don't want nothing to do with that, right? So I got off the phone with him and I laid down and I said, Lord, tell him not to call me again. I do not want him to call me again at all. Okay? I don't want it, right? So anyways, he didn't call me. I didn't call him. I kind of left that alone, and I was just like, I don't want anything to do with that. So about a month ago, another guy came out of nowhere, okay? And now this guy is in my business. He is coming around, seeking me out. And now this guy was very attractive, very well put together, very handsome. And he was trying to show me the best of him, impress me the most. And I was thinking, this guy might actually be it, right? Like, this guy, I mean, this might be my guy, right? And oh my gosh. So every day I can't wait to see him again, can't wait to talk to him, right? And next thing I know, out of nowhere, something changes. And I remember before something changes, I remember feeling like, Lord, every time somebody pops up, you always show me the red flag. You always show me something's wrong. And I'm just getting this feeling like, are you finna show me something's wrong? Because I hadn't talked to him in about a couple days. I'm like, are you getting ready to show me that something's wrong? And I start getting this feeling in my gut. And so come to find out, the guy is married, okay? Married. You talking about, I got a little angry. I got a little angry because this was a moment that I was like, now I really like this guy. Like, I like this guy. Like, this guy could be it, right? Married, okay? And I remember when I met him, I looked at him and I thought, he looks like a married man with children, or maybe he's been divorced. That's what he looked like to me. He just came off like that to me, like either he was married or he had been divorced before, right? The man is married, okay? And so this just ended. This particular counterfeit just ended, right? And then the one prior to him, the one that I told you was a thug, he comes back and starts texting me again and start to try to see if he can work out with me or hang out with me on a Saturday, trying to figure out what I'm doing. And I am bobbing and weaving. You are not about to get nope, no, and no. Okay. So it was like, you let me know when you're going back to the gym. I'll come work out with you. Let me know. You know what? My schedule is so crazy. I don't even know when I'm going back. Sometimes I'm in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon. I don't even be knowing. My schedule is so crazy. That's me bobbing and weaving. I'm trying to, I'm trying to be nice about it. But you're not going to meet me at the gym. You're not going to work out with me. You're not about to attach to me. You're not about to do any of those things, right? Now, I'm telling you all of this because this is over the year 3, 4, 5 men, 5 counterfeit men that have approached me, that have pursued me in some form or fashion, and that have tried to open that door with me. And every single one of them, God showed me the red flag and made the truth come to light just like that. I mean, literally just like that, right? So what did I gather from all of this? And what am I gathering from all of this, right? I know people talk about counterfeits a lot. I know they talk about them a lot, but let me say this. If you are following God, if you have given him your entire life, you are not practicing sin. You have given him your life. You are trusting him no matter how hard it is sometimes, with your circumstances, with your situation, with your desires and all of that. Trust and believe that you don't have to be afraid of counterfeits. You don't have to be afraid of them at all. So that's the first sort of tip or a bit of guidance that I want to give you, is that you don't have to be afraid of encountering the counterfeit. Meaning, when guys come your way or approach you, or you're out there dating, or you want to go out on dates, and you're trying to be intentional about finding your spouse, you don't have to be out here afraid, right? Because God will show you the red flag quickly, okay? He'll show you the red flag very quickly. So you do not have to be afraid of that. But there are 3 things that you do need to be prepared to do. In the process of you preparing for your spouse, and in the process of you learning what it is that God has for you, and in the process of being intentional about finding who that person is, and becoming a wife or a husband or whatever, whoever's watching this, I'm just saying, you don't have to be afraid of encountering a counterfeit. Now, and again, I said, if you have given your life to God, right? Meaning you are not out here sleeping around. You're not out here shacking up with anybody. You're not out here, living a life like the world. And then on the flip side, calling yourself a Christian. I'm not judging you. I'm going to clarify this in a moment. Because if you are living according to God's ways, you've given your life to him as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto him, right? Which is your reasonable service, considering all that's been given for you. If you have done that, then that means you're not attached, right? If you're not out there sleeping with anybody, you don't have to deal with that kind of temptation. You don't have to deal with those kinds of demons, right? When you're clear of all of that, it makes it easier for you to see those red flags and to do what needs to be done once God has shown you those red flags, right? So again, you don't have to be afraid, but there are 3 things that I will recommend you doing. The first thing is to guard your heart. So you don't have to be afraid of the counterfeit, but you do have to guard your heart, because out of it flows the issues of life. Out of your heart will flow the issues of life. And some of those issues can be loneliness. Some of those issues can be the desire for sexual sexual satisfaction, right? Some of those could just be companionship. If God has not been able to clear out these voids in you and things like that, issues with your father or your mother, you'll find yourself trying to replace them and find a daddy figure or a mother figure or whatever the case may be, right? But so you do have to guard your heart, because out of it flows these issues of life. And so what happens is if you don't guard your heart and you're dealing with loneliness and a counterfeit comes along, you may find yourself willing to compromise your standards and lower your bar a little bit, right? And I tell people this, I could have been married 2-3 times over, right? I could have been in a relationship. I could be in a relationship, right? All I have to do is lower the bar. All I have to do is lower my standard. If I lower my standard even a little bit, I can go find somebody. I got a guy right now that I know is not my man, that wants to come into my life. All I got to do is lower my standard, and I can have a man right now, right? So that's what I'm saying. I could have those things, but I cannot lower the bar. So in essence, I don't have a choice. So I cannot be in a relationship right now, because I refuse to lower the bar, and I'm not lowering the bar. I didn't go through all of this with God just to lower my standards, lower the bar, and accept anything, right? And by the way, what I am asking for and what I want should not be rare. It should be normal. I'm not asking for anything that's not normal. It's normal. To me, the thing is it's normal to me because it's how I am. It's the way that I am, right? So it's normal to me, right? But in this world, what I'm looking for is rare. What I'm looking for is rare when you look at the quality that we have in this world and the way that this world is, right? But the truth of the matter is what I'm looking for should be normal. It shouldn't be rare. So guard your heart. Guard your heart, because out of it flows the issues of life. And I'm telling you, that counterfeit person, that temptation will come your way, and you can be feeling lonely and just wanting to have someone. And don't let your desires for someone be vain, meaning you really just want to be able to say that you're married, say you have somebody, say, show pictures on social media that you have somebody. And the spiritual forces, the enemy will exploit that in you, right? And he'll give you exactly what you're asking for. And behind closed doors, the person is rotten, the relationship is rotten, it's toxic, and they're married, right? Or something like that, right? So he'll exploit your vulnerabilities and your weaknesses, which is why you have to put a lid on your heart. You have to guard it. In each of these circumstances, there was a temptation for me to drop the bar, to lower my standard. There was a temptation to do that. But what I want so much. My desire for what I want is much stronger than my desire to just have somebody, right? I am one of those people. I'd rather be by myself than deal with some of these things, right? Especially if I know it's just going to bring me down, right? So guard your heart. That's the first thing that I would say to do. The second tip that I would give you is be willing to walk away when that red flag is revealed. God will reveal the red flag. He will reveal it. That is something that goes without saying. He is not going to leave you out here and not tell you that you are walking towards danger. He will give you the red flag, and you have to be willing to walk away when he does, right? But even if you are struggling in that area, like I said, if you have given your life to God, I believe that God will step in and cause that person to go their separate ways, just like he did with Abraham and Sarah, when Abraham didn't want to say that Sarah was his wife, and I forgot his name, the Pharaoh or whatever, brought her into his room, into his chambers or whatever, and it was God that went to the man, because see, Abraham didn't have enough sense enough to say she's taken, and Sarah didn't have enough sense enough to say, I'm taken, right? Or they didn't have enough sense enough to end it and to stop it from happening. So God stepped in and God did it for them, so that the promise wouldn't be compromised. And so I think that when you've given God true reign over your life, if you are weak in an area where you can't do it and you're having a hard time doing it, I think God will step in and he'll handle it for you, and he'll cause that person to leave. without you having to do anything, right? It makes it easier for you to break away. But if you have not given, if you have not given him every aspect of your life, maybe you're actually practicing sin, you're out there, that level of temptation, getting into those kinds of entanglements and those kinds of messy situations will happen. They could happen. And because you are disconnected from your relationship with God, you don't have what's necessary to be able to walk away from those issues, those red flags. You don't have what it takes to be able to not only walk away from it, but because you're already living a life of sin already has its grips on you. It's easier to get engulfed in such messiness, right? It's easier to just fall into this messiness and not be able to find your way out. And because you're disconnected to God, you're weaker. You're weakened in your will. You're weakened in your decision making. Your heart is already unguarded. You're just in a bad situation. And what's influencing you is not God. Although he will, if you have some sort of understanding of him, he will always try to get you to do the right thing. But it's much harder, like an addiction, because you are living a life of sin. Anyways, be willing to walk away when the red flag is revealed. And the last tip that I would give you is, when you walk away, don't look back. I mean, when I tell you don't look back, do not look back. When you walk away, you walk away. Don't give anybody a chance to play with you, to linger around you, to get you all caught up in your feelings, to get you constantly thinking about what are they doing, why are they doing it, why if they don't want me, why are they still hanging around? If they don't want me, why are they still calling me? If they don't want me, then why are they still looking at me or trying to get my attention or this or that? Because they're a distraction. That's it. That's all. Nothing more and maybe something less. But certainly not anything. They're a distraction. That's what they are. And they're not being led by God. Okay? So when you walk away, you have to be willing to walk away and not look back. Okay? So first thing is, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to encounter the counterfeit. Guard your heart. Be willing to walk away the moment those red flags, I mean the red flags. Let me be clear about something. I'm not talking about minor character flaws. Like, there's a difference between someone having anger issues and someone getting angry at something. There's a difference. There's a difference between somebody being I don't want you to mistake minor character flaws, because we all have them. I don't want you to mistake that for a red flag, right? But some minor character flaws, like just minor things, like when I get upset, sometimes I might not want to talk, right? Or when I'm feeling down, I might withdraw. I might not want to talk to anybody, right? That could be considered a character flaw. It's because my approach isn't to communicate. My approach is to withdraw until I feel safe to communicate, right? But someone who doesn't understand that could look at that like a character flaw. That could be a character flaw, right? That's not a red flag. If my heart is kind and, all these things, but, the way that I handle stress, now, if my whole world falls apart when stress comes along, that could be a red flag, especially like if it's a guy and he doesn't know what to do when hard times hit and his whole world crumbles, and that could be, and he just doesn't, he loses all sense of understanding, doesn't know what to do, just kind of, in essence, what I'm saying is you don't want to take minor little character flaws, things that, because nobody's perfect. Those things that people can work through understanding, right? You don't want to take those and consider those red flags. Red flags, okay, they're married, they're in a relationship, they're they're abusive, they're manipulative, they disrespect you, they don't respect you, right? Those kinds of things are red flags. You want to run away from that, right? Or if they're trying to trick you and manipulate you and kind of get you wrapped up in all kinds of stuff, right? So that's what I'm saying. But when the red flag is revealed, or they're not a believer, when the red flag is revealed, be willing to walk away. And lastly, don't look back. You want to keep going forward, because once you see the red flag, you are given the green light to walk away, to run, in fact. And not doing that only prolongs you getting to the person that God actually has for you. Okay? So this video has gone longer than what I wanted it to go. I should have been on my way home by now. This video just went way too long. I was not expecting that. But I hope it helps. But I was saying all of this to tell you that I don't know why God is allowing this time of me encountering these counterfeit people. I'm not talking about them or calling them bad, but these counterfeit situations, I don't know why God is allowing me to experience this. But one thing I do know is one thing I do believe that God had asked me in the beginning, a year ago, was, am I willing to go the distance for what he has for me? Am I willing to go the distance? And so a bonus tip that I would say is, be willing to go the distance for what God has. So that's all that I have for today. I know I'll be back with more. I feel like I need to talk about what I'm experiencing in the process of me preparing and getting to that place of meeting my husband and getting and becoming a wife, right? I know a lot of people don't really talk about the process. It's like they were single, they disappear, and then when they come back, they got married, or they got engaged, right? But there's a whole a whole process, a whole thing that you go through emotionally, mentally, all of that stuff, in the process of staying close to God, keeping your standards, watching the world do whatever it is that they want to do, get the thing that you want, that you didn't even have the desire for, that God gave you the desire for, that you didn't even want in the first place. Doing all the things that God wants you to do, seeing the world do things that are against God and get what it is that you want, that you desire, and having to stay on the right path with God until he blesses you. It's a journey, okay? It is a journey. But I want to share it with you. I'll share it in transparency. It's fine. But I just wanted to do that. And so that's what I'm going to do. And so that's where I am right now. A year ago, God told me to prepare. And I'm still preparing and waiting. And I am going through a series of knockoffs. And that's where we are. So anyways, enjoy your day. I'll be back with another video. I'm sure of it. Until then, take care. Bye.